Well, hello everyone, I'm Postmaster Radio and it's time to bring on the funny. You're listening to Ujokes Weekly, the official podcast highlighting Jonathan Mangum's virtual comedy show Ujokes, where comedians compete for the best joke, plus you guys and gals, as part of the Ujokes audience, also have a shot at taking the crown of comedy. It's comedy gold at your fingertips. Yes, I'm really excited because the Ujokes podcast is back in business, but this week we have not one, not two, not three, but 4 shows to recap in one podcast. Uh-oh, how's that gonna work? You'll find out in a minute, but first, we need to catch up on the most recent Ujokes podcast. Catch up now via the link in the description. Also, if you've listened before, thank you so much for coming back. If this is your first time listening, well then thank you so much for taking the time to check out the Ujokes podcast. And if you're listening from Apple Podcasts or Podchaser, please leave a rating and review. It really means a lot, especially in Podchaser's case. If you leave a review of my podcast, you'll not only be doing me a favor, but you'll also be doing a favor for the Meals on Wheels charity, because every time someone leaves a review of a podcast that is on Podchaser, the team of Podchaser will make a 25-cent donation to the Meals on Wheels charity, a 50-cent donation if a podcaster on Podchaser replies to a review they have received. Although be warned, the Podchaser Meals on Wheels charitable donation deal only lasts until the end of April. But now let's get down to business. So how are we going to recap 4 Ujokes shows in one podcast? Well, simple enough. What I've done is I've taken one joke from each of the 8 comedians from the 4 shows. In this case, pauldanke, stephtolev, jamesbreakwell, raqueldapice, laurenashleybishop, seanjordan, dancronin, and espirivadeneira. So one joke from each of those 8 comedians and one audience joke from last night's show, from last week's show, and then the show from the week before that, and then the show from the week before that. And of course, as usual with the audience jokes, I'm only considering jokes, regardless of last show's best or live jokes in the YouTube chat, they need to be picked by Jonathan or his producer Josh to be considered. And in my case, because one of my jokes got picked during the live playings of last night's and last week's Ujokes shows, I'm not including those jokes in the countdown, just to be fair. I'll come back to those jokes after we wrap up the countdown, so keep listening for that. But anyway, so that's 12 jokes in total, and normally this would be like a top 12 thing, but in one show's case, there was a game in which both comedians and team audience dominated. So I'm turning this into more of a top 10. Does that make sense? It will as we go on, but for now, without further ado, let's get started. This is my top 10 Ujokes jokes from the last 4 shows. That's spot number 10 on the countdown. We go to espirivadeneira for a game called Inspirational Poster. This was from last night's Ujokes show. You know how the game Inspirational Poster works based on the picture shown, which in this case showed a bunny rabbit attacking a black cat. You need to come up with the most inspirational saying you can. Not the winning joke for this game, but SB had a good one nonetheless. Bully the bully and be a carnivore. Which I find ironic, only considering the fact that SB is a vegan, but still a pretty good joke overall. Not bad, SB. At spot number 9 on the countdown, we go to episode 67 of Ujokes. This goes to a guy by the name of Bill Sindelar for last show's best, which we'll talk more about later in the podcast, but not wasting much time, let's get to the joke at hand. Now, for the Ujokes show that came before numero 67, there was a game called Bumblebrag, in which, based on the pick, you figure out what the person's dating profile may say were that pick to pop up in said person's dating profile. In Bill's case, he submitted a joke after the show. For the pick of the half-human, half-mermaid, his joke was the little fur maid. Gotta give you some props on that one, Bill. Now at spot number 8 on the countdown, time to go to last week's Ujokes show. This one goes to Seanjordan for a game called Namethemovie. Now Sean's joke for the picture of a lady running away from a giraffe was called Jurassic Park. Now you would think that this joke would rank a little bit higher on this week's Ujokes countdown. And normally it would, except Not to be judgy to Sean, because he was hilarious in his and Lauren's episode. Plus, I am not a professional comedian, so what the hell do I know about what are the best jokes and what are bad jokes. But in addition to this joke being kind of obvious upon, seeing the pic for the first time, there were a couple of people in the YouTube chat who also had that joke in mind. So, yeah, but either way, fantastic joke from Sean. And now moving on up to spot number 7 on the Ujokes countdown, back to the inspirational poster game with the bunny attacking the black cat, but this time for dancronin.
Seize the day, and while you're at it, give it rabies.
Yes.
Oh yeah, good joke from Dan. And at spot number 6 on the countdown, we go now to a very funny guy by the name of Todd Frost. Still on last night's show, but not one of the comedians from the episode. He was last show's best as well. And now seems like a good time to actually talk about last show's best for a little bit. In case you don't know, not everyone can compete on Ujokes live. Some people watch after the fact. If you are watching last night's Ujokes show, if you didn't get a chance to watch it live, but you have a really good joke for one or all of the games, just submit those jokes. Type it into the YouTube comment section. Whichever joke gets picked, that person who submitted the joke will get to play live on the next Ujokes show, which is coming up on Monday, April 12th at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 Eastern. Oh, and one additional little thing I found out during last night's show, the last show's best considerations now extend to the mini Ujokes challenges. With this case being, on the Ujokes YouTube channel, also on the Facebook thing as well, there was a picture of 4 men in some sort of rocky area, kind of like near a cave, and it looks like they're about to go hiking. Any jokes that were submitted for that pic, those people were also considered to be invited on last night's show. Now that pic I just mentioned was for a game called Caption This. Todd Frost seemed to be really good at coming up with funny captions because this was his winning joke for said pic. Carl, I'm not saying it doesn't look good, I'm just saying a pink headband is not the best choice when you're trying to camouflage. Oh yeah, that was a good joke. I'm not sure if you saw the pic, but there was a guy with a pink headband, and, well, sometimes it's the little details that give you the comedic inspiration you're looking for. So well done to Todd Frost. Fun little fact also, this was his second time on the Ujokes show, being last show's best, and apparently, considering that this was said on the Ujokes show, you would think that this was a joke. Not so. It turns out Todd's brother's father-in-law was the announcer on the 1984 to 1985 version of Let's Make a Deal, when back then it was called the all-new Let's Make a Deal. No joke. Honestly, I mean, it's unbelievable, really. But anyway, great joke from Todd Frost. But now, back to the countdown. Spot number 5 is going to go to laurenashleybishop, going to episode 69 of Ujokes for a game called What's It Mean? For the non-existent word vulgitate, you have to come up with your own personalized definition. So this was Lauren's joke, and spoiler alert, any Star Trek fans listening, you may or may not enjoy this one.
Vulgitate, that's the verb form of the Star Trek sex move, the Vulcan salute. So vulgitate it's a lot like the shocker, but it's a completely emotionless sex move.
Wow, that is some science fiction, literal fantasy happening. Vulgitate. Live long and orgasm, as they say on planet Vulcan.
Oh, and Nino bonus joke from Jonathan Mangum for that same game. Nice one. At spot number 4 on the countdown, back to episode 67 of Ujokes, this time for stephtolev, for the game Dumbest Answer. It's exactly what you think it is, based on the question, in this case, what happened to the dinosaurs. Now we all know, well, we don't know exactly what happened to them, but for all we know, asteroids killed them. But what is the dumbest answer to this question that you can think of? Well, in Steph's case, her dumbest answer may not have taken the crown of comedy for that game of Dumbest Answer, but hey, it was definitely a good joke.
Nothing at all. They actually all live in Bulgaria. So all of them are still alive and well. No one goes there, so you can't see them. That's why.
Not too shabby, Steph. And continuing on with the Ujokes countdown at spot number 3, still on episode 67, but this time we go to pauldanke for a game of inspirational poster. Different inspirational poster game, of course, this time for the picture of a bunch of clowns. I don't know how many clowns there were in that pic. Thank God that I do not have clown phobia or whatever the official term for fear of clowns is. But anyway, this was Paul's joke.
Life's a game. You'll never win with a handful of jokers.
Oh, serious.
I mean, unless the game is comedy, Paul pretty much has the right idea. Good one, Paul. Now at spot number 2 on the countdown, we go back to episode 69 of Ujokes. I mentioned a few minutes ago the game What's It Mean with Volgitate. Now, Lauren's Star Trek joke may not have won, but this joke for team audience on the YouTube chat sure did. Shout out to Leslie Lemeries. Oh my god, I can't. What do you do when you see Jonathan naked? I mean, as Jonathan said, be careful what you wish for, but oh my god. Top-notch comedy, Leslie, top-notch. And now at spot number 1 on the countdown, you may have noticed we haven't talked about any of the jokes from episode 68 with James Breakwell or Raqueldapice. Well, luckily we are getting to that show because there is one game from that show that happens to be my favorite part about all 4 of those past Ujoke shows combined. Episode 68's game of Happy Hour. Now in this game, based on the picture shown, which in this case was Pikachu drinking what I assume to be orange juice with a lemon wedge, unless the Pokemon fan base has proven that even Pokemon can get drunk. But anyway, based on that pick, you have to come up with the drink name. And for said game, James Breakwell, Raqueldapice, and team audience were all on fire. True, I am not as big of a Pokemon fan as others, but when you have a Ujokes game in which all of the main jokes dominate, you can't really beat that. So here are the 3 jokes at hand. First, for team audience, shout out to Professor O, Gin and Pika Juice. And then we have Raqueldapice.
Oh man, he is drinking tequila with just a squirtle of lime.
And then, the winner, James Breakwell. Perhaps because of the old 2 jokes in 1 routine, but still.
He is drinking a Pika Brew to get Pokebombed.
Yeah! I love it.
So that's the Ujokes top 10 for this week. I also want to mention my own jokes that got picked by Jonathan's producer Josh that I had decided not to include in the countdown, just to be fair to the rest of the Ujokes audience. The first of my jokes that got picked was actually from last week's Ujokes show. Remember the Name the Movie game with Sean's Jurassic Park joke? I did not expect this joke of mine to get picked, but I'm proud of it nonetheless. Zootopia rated R. And then from last night's Ujokes show, from a game of Caption This for a pick of a creepy Easter bunny with Superman, my joke was, every bunny have fun, kryptonite. Yeah, every bunny have fun, kryptonite, as Jonathan put it. A little bit of Wang Chung humor. And yeah, so those were my 2 jokes that got picked. And if it could happen to me, it can happen to you. So go compete on Ujokes Live. And with that being said, that's Ujokes episodes 67, 68, 69, and 70 in a nutshell. All for Ujokes Weekly, the podcast for 15 minutes of comedy. And no, I did not think that there would be a day where I could shove 2 hours worth of Ujokes shows in a 15-minute podcast. Dreams do come true. Anyway, that's all the time we have this week on Ujokes Weekly. A couple of other quick things before we go. First up, I'm really happy to say that the Ujokes podcast will be back with new episodes on a weekly basis. Yes, the every other week schedule, which we've had for a little while, throwing that out for at least the next couple of months. So yay! That means the next official all-new Ujokes podcast is coming on Tuesday, April 13th. And of course, in addition to Ujokes, make sure you also check out Ujokes' sister show, if you want to, FMK Champs, also on the Ujokes YouTube channel, live at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 Eastern. And until next time, make sure you stay connected with me on Twitter and Instagram at Postmaster Radio, plus like, subscribe, follow, rate, review, and comment to stay engaged on Spreaker, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and Podchaser. The account links are all in the description. Thanks again for listening, and well, bye for now. See ya!